British children are being stolen from the UK so billionaires can profit from them. Doing this research has literally made me feel physically sick. Did you know it costs the UK taxpayers £50,000 per week per child in care? But why? Why would one child cost £50,000 per week on the taxpayers? Because 4 in every 5 care homes are now privately owned. Literally, vulnerable children are now becoming an investment opportunity. This is a quote from Ofsted. The growth of the private sector involving in children's social care sector has led to big profits for investors, while a crisis of poverty and equality brings more vulnerable children into the marketplace. This is fucking children, not bitcoins. Ofsted and Company House data says that 863 children's homes for vulnerable children are partly or fully controlled by investment companies, including private equity, venture capital and foreign funds. We just remember that it's the taxpayers who pay for the care homes, which the government have allocated to private sectors who are profiting vastly. Airline Emirates even joined in with the profiting from orphans in England. They started in 2021 and last year they made 39 million in profits from it. That's nice, isn't it? 2021 to 2022, local authorities in England, not the whole UK, just England, spent 1.5 billion on independently run care homes. There is currently 82,000 children in care, which is a 10-year high, going up by 11%. It doesn't help that social workers actually get a bonus every time they take a child away from their parents, get them into a care home and then adopt them off. It was actually Tony Blair who brought this in 2000. The idea was to encourage social workers to get care home kids adopted, but instead they just started taking children mainly under 4, mainly babies, even some prior to them even being born, into care because they were more likely to get their bonus. In 2012 alone, they gave out 36 million in award grants. Are you really telling me that the government didn't notice that after Tony Blair put this in place, the main children to be taken into care were under 4? Prior to that, it wasn't. These companies valued these vulnerable children at £100,000 per year. These children were victims of forced adoption. Now, majority of the time, forced adoption targets people regarding their class, skin colour, or if they have disabilities. On average, in the UK, 1,000 children are wrongfully taken into care and separated from their parents. Some parents have even spoke out that after they've proven their child was wrongfully taken, they couldn't get their child back because they were stuck in the system. What the fuck? Are children better off in care? Let's go through statistics, shall we? Can we please bear in mind, while I'm reading out these statistics, that care leavers make up 1% of the population? 25% of the homeless community are care leavers. Almost 25% of prison inmates spent time in care. 50% of under 21s involved with the criminal justice system spent time in care. Care leavers are 5 times more likely to unalive themselves. 31% of care leavers have no qualifications. 65% of care leavers struggle with mental health. On average, 450 to 550 cases of abuse are proven every year in foster care and 250 to 300 yearly in care homes. In other words, if they were wrongfully taken off their parents, they were then put into an abusive situation for no fucking reason. Abuse in care homes has been going on for decades and the government have tried their hardest to cover it up, and a lot of people never get any justice. £50,000 per week per child in a care home. They must be a really nice care home and they must have, qualified members of staff. Ofsted are concerned about the living conditions regarding UK children in care due to underfunding. 50 grand a week ain't underfunding, it's just not getting to the kids. It's how the billionaires are profiting. To put that in perspective, that's only £4.3 billion less than the entirety of the UK who are claiming housing benefits. Now, the amount of people claiming housing benefits is 2.5 million, and there's only 85,000 kids in care. Some of these private-owned care homes have had scandals regarding neglect, abuse, inhumane living conditions, and even rape. They are literally charging as much as they can and spending as little as possible on these vulnerable children. But wait, there's more. There are 4 companies who own the majority of UK's care homes, so let's go through them. Airtech Holding PLC was founded in 1992 by 2 brothers, and their net worths are 329 million, and his little brother has 322 million net worth. The Outcome First Group, which owns 37 schools, 77 residential homes, who are now owned by Starling Square Capital Partners, which is a private equity firm. Nutrius UK Topco Ltd, which their turnover for 2020 from care homes was 178 million in profits. Now this one is the fucking kicker. Compass Community Ltd, They operate Costa Coffee, Subway, Chick-fil-A and Starbucks, and they also provide food for schools and prisons in the USA and in the UK. They've actually been done in court for overcharging a US school $18 million. Does that sound like a company with the best interests of a vulnerable child or their profits? Some of these companies have profited $300 million in 1 year. Actually, global investment firms are profiting from the taxpayers, from the government, by taking away from orphans. What's even more sickening is they profit the most from disabled children, and they're trying to get more disabled children into their marketplace. Taxpayers literally pay them £1 million per disabled child per week. Do you really think the government are going to do anything about this? Because last time I checked, they look out for the 1%, and they don't give a shit about lives, they only care about profits. And that's exactly what this is.